Yeah, the one thing I wanted to the one other thing I wanted to show real quick was the idle animation. Just because they actually, there are a lot of, if you look at like the sprite sheet for this game, feels like almost half of it is just the idle animation. For all the bonk sprites, at least. So when you're idle, Bonk starts to look around, question mark over his head, kind of some of the stuff he did, pull on his eyeballs. But then they threw a couple little Easter eggs in here. Throw you a peace sign, but see, if you wait long enough, it does some kicking, some little karate, whatever. Just practicing. Even though he never kicks enemies, he always uses his head. He's trying to learn some martial arts, it looks like. So here we go. You get some... Yep, keep waiting. We'll get the propeller head here. Showing that Bonk can detach his head even in normal form if he wants. See how long this idle animation is? We're not even nearly done with it. So here is kind of a reference. He turns into kind of this blue-eyed, girly Bonk, whatever. I don't know if this is a reference to the arcade game where you can play as like the girl-looking Bonk, or if it's like a another reference to something else. Like in Super Bonk 2, you can actually get the ballerina Bonk form, which is my favorite actually. Then there's this reference here, which is like the fully powered up meat form from Bonk's Revenge. And maybe Bonk 3 has this form in it too. So this is definitely like a reference to the other Bonk games. And then here, this is what like halfway powered up Bonk looks like in Bonk's Adventure. So there's like just a bunch of references to the older Bonk games during the idle animation, which I think is really cool. Now we're finally back. Like one of the longest idle animation loops that I've seen in any game, but it's kind of cool just because they throw some references in there to the old games. A lot of sprites that are used only in that animation that are not used anywhere else in the game, so they really spent some time on it, which is kind of cool. All flower percent and high score. Yeah. All flower percent would be... I don't even know if... So I don't know that all flower percent is actually possible, because there's quite a few spots in the game where you can branch to different paths that are that are mutually exclusive paths. And if there's ever a point where two branching paths that are mutually exclusive both have flowers in them, then you wouldn't be able to get all the flowers in a single playthrough. So that poses a little bit of a problem. High score you could certainly do. You know, it wouldn't really be a speed run necessarily, unless there was like a true max out that you could do on the score. If you wanted to speed run like a high score max out, then that would make sense. But otherwise, getting a max score or getting a high score probably would involve juggling enemies for a ridiculously long time. I'm trying to think. Like if I wanted to rack up score as fast as possible. When you juggle enemies, you get score. And like I was talking about earlier, even when an enemy's dead, you can keep juggling their dead body. And I don't know that there's a limit to how many times you can do that. And so if you can get an enemy, like one of these ones against a wall... I'll see if I can... Like, if I get lined up in the wall here, and I jump and hit him... You might be able to juggle an enemy against a wall, basically indefinitely. Yeah, like that. Like, if I could get into a good rhythm where I'm just bonking an enemy over and over and over and over and over and over... I don't know if there's a limit. Like, you might just be able to rack up infinite score that way. I'm not sure. And I don't know how high the score can count. Like, what the max out even is, if that's even feasible or not. You get, like, 25 million points for beating the game, but then... I don't know what I've never seen, like, a maxed out score, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah, all flowers... You'd have to get... there's so many of them in the game, it would be, like Sin is saying, it would be super boring because you'd be playing the same mini games over and over. It would be kind of, it might be a little more interesting if you just said you had to get like you had to play each mini game once. Each unique mini game had to be played one time or something. Just to show that you had to like optimize beating each of these mini games. Like, you obviously, if you're just trying to be fast, you wouldn't care about collecting any of the items. You just want to get to the end as quick as possible. Can we get up there? No. Oh, you were thinking you'd have to actually like do them. I mean, you could. That would just be more of a challenge run than like a speed run, but you could certainly do it. Like just doing all the flowers and getting max score. Yeah, that's totally valid. Yeah, you could do that. What I think would be really interesting, I would love to see someone cook this up. Kind of like the Donkey Kong Country randomizer, the entrance randomizer, where every time you go into a bonus or beat a stage, it just kind of randomly warps you to another exit, like another stage. It would be kind of cool to see like an entrance randomizer for this game, although like all the minigame flowers would act as entrances. So like if I grab this minigame flower, it would teleport me to another random either beginning of the stage or another flower location, and have all the levels kind of be interconnected. Kind of like the Donkey Kong Country one, and the goal would be to find, kind of like the Donkey Kong Country again, just to do the same format, where the idea is you have to find all the bosses and beat them all, and then Drool is like the final boss. You have to do him last, but you have to find all four of the other bosses, or all four of the other bosses hidden somewhere, like connected in this maze of entrances, and then find Drool at the end. I think that would be really cool. Because at a minimum, there's always going to be the natural stage exit that you can take when you get warped into somewhere. But then places like Rage Cave that have like 4 or more minigame flowers in them, or like this, would really be like good places to branch out and explore. It could be a fun randomizer for this game. Like if this game had a randomizer, I think that would be a fun way to do it, rather than like just including the minigame flowers as warp points. Because otherwise, what could you do with a randomizer with this game? You could scramble the enemy locations, sure, but it's not like an RPG that has upgrades where you can scramble the upgrades or do much else interesting. So I think an entrance randomizer would be about the coolest thing you could do with this game, to just make it more like the Donkey Kong Country one, where it kind of becomes a puzzle of memorizing what all the connections are, so that you can find your way out, rather than trying to figure out how to get upgrades. It's just how do I navigate through the game and get out of here. But oh yeah, I never looked at the retro achievements for this game. That obtained 26 million points. Okay, so basically you just have to get 1 million points and then beat the game. Trying to see how fast can you flip. Not very fast. There we go, that's about as fast as you can. Nah. Well, I don't know that there's too much else that I wanted to show off. Let me look at my notes to make sure I got everything. Oh, the only thing on my list that I didn't show off was the soft lock. Here's a little secret. Just for a heart container. It's really not that rewarding of a secret, but considering you have to take some damage to swim through this to get it. Trying to remember if there's any other secrets around here that are even worth showing. Ostrich bonk. Pop the head. Maybe someday I'll get into retro achievements. I don't know. I see a lot of people doing them, but I don't feel like I have enough time to just do speedrunning and retro achievements. But I might pick and choose like just a couple of my favorite games to do retro achievements for someday, if they seem interesting. Sometimes it's just like doing a speedrun of the game at a high level kind of transcends any of the retro achievements that they would have you do, or it just doesn't, it's like, it would just feel like, it could be chill to do it, but it wouldn't feel like that big of a challenge. Like after speedrunning this game for so long, it's like, oh, getting 26 million points, like woohoo, like that's not really, like that's just me farming points on random stuff, like it wouldn't be that interesting. But maybe there are some interesting challenges that are above and beyond what a speedrun would do. And that could be kind of interesting to try sometime. That's true. If flashcards supported retro achievements, then I could just have it enabled while speedrunning stuff and just randomly get the achievements while I'm going, or like I could go slightly out of my way while practicing or something to get an achievement. That would actually be cool. I would turn that on if that was supported. What did I want to show here? Oh yeah, I was just gonna show the soft lock as like the last thing I wanted to show, but I guess since we're here, we'll go to the above path. Might as well show off as many of the unique paths as I can while I'm getting back there. I think I already went up here on the Japanese version though, but that's okay. Trampo Clouds. Oh yeah, let me see if I can show this off too. It's kind of interesting. So they give the butterflies the big blue candies because you can kind of come up here and ride them. You can see that there's items in the air that I guess you could jump off the butterfly and grab as you go, but also see, there's like a 1-up if you make it all the way that far. Oh, I see, I forgot, yeah, they give this one a blue candy too, so you can ride back, you can get to the end and then ride this way. There's another spot what I was thinking of is in a different screen. They did hide a lot of little things like that most people probably wouldn't find right away on a casual playthrough. They kind of reward you for exploring a little bit. If only there was a way to glitch through this wall and go straight to the boss fight. That would be a pretty huge find. Waiting for that one someday. Somehow, or even if we could just glitch partially through it. Like, I don't know where the trigger is for entering the boss room, but even if it's like, you just gotta clip a couple pixels into this block. And you could trigger it. That would be, that would save quite a few, you know, a good handful of seconds of having to go through here. But the trigger might be very small, just in that, at the top of the ladder there, so you might have to get fully through the wall for it to work. I have no idea. Dang. Whoops. You do actually need to go up here. Alright, get ready for the soft lock. This is the only... I think this is the only way I've found to soft lock the game, other than, you know, like if you get stuck doing the water glitch, and you get stuck in the terrain, you can technically get out of it, but it's close to a soft lock. If you did it in a certain spot, it might be possible to soft lock. But here, when you turn on the TV, like I mentioned before, this is normally a secret. So you drop into here, and normally it triggers the warp to this mini game that has a level warp in it, or if you don't, even if you don't find the warp, it just lets you get a bunch of bonus items. But if you drop into the TV while attached to the wall and then you touch the ground, it just sends Bonk into this walking animation, but it doesn't actually trigger the warp, and the game is soft locked at this point. There's nothing I can do. It doesn't even let me pause the game. It is truly soft locked. You can see with Bonk still walking, like the game hasn't crashed or anything, but it's just stuck in a state where you can't get out of it, so. Maybe there's some sort of intricate thing we could do here to set up a wrong warp or something someday, who knows, but as for now, it's just a soft lock, and you do not want to be attached to the wall when you drop in to the TV. You want to make sure you land cleanly on the ground, or this happens, and you have to reset the game to get out of it. You missed it? Here. When you turn on the TV, Super Duper, if you're attached to the wall and then drop down to the bottom of the TV, while still attached to the wall, then you soft lock. It doesn't warp you into the minigame, but you can't do anything else either. Yeah, it is weird. It is kind of weird that it doesn't warp you correctly when this happens. It just puts you in this walking animation. No matter what buttons I press, I can't pause, I can't turn around, I can't jump, nothing. I'm just stuck. So it's just a true soft lock, but I think that's the last thing I wanted to show. I think that's about all of the Super Bonk knowledge that I have. There is a lot of stuff packed into this game. You can tell that they have fun with these Bonk games. They put a lot of goofy stuff in here, and I enjoy it. There's probably secrets that this game holds that I don't know about. I always like watching people play through this game casually because I do learn new things about the game almost every time I see someone try something or do something. And there's not a ton of people out there that have played this game before, so it's always interesting, but Super Bonk 2 looks very different. Yeah, it is. Super Bonk 2 kind of goes back to the classic Bonk format where it's just linear level design. This is like the only game in the series where they truly made a bunch of different branching paths. It's not just play through the level and you're done. There's different ways you can go, different things. A very different feel to this game, and I think this is my favorite because of that. I did play Bonk's Adventure on the NES growing up, and I really loved that game, and that's probably why I ended up owning this game on the Super Nintendo, but I always liked this one the most. Super Bonk 2 it's still a fun game. It was Japanese release only. But yeah, it goes back to the classic format of just linear level design. There's no warps or skips or different different orders that you can play the levels in or anything. They also add the ability to sprint, and they again go back to they get away from the two tiers of power up, and they just go back to a format where you can either be in your base form or you can be in one of like 6 or 7 different power-ups. Some of them are new, and some of them are similar to or the same as old power-ups. Like they bring back the like volcano head Bonk, whatever you want to call him. I forget what he exactly looks like in Super Bonk 2. And they keep the tiny form. Like you can still get a red candy as one of the power-up forms, and they let you shoot the rage letters. That stays in Super Bonk 2. There's just not as many uses for it. In the speedrun especially, I don't even know that we grab a red candy in the entire speedrun. But there's a few secrets you can get with it. The Ballerina Bonk is really cool though. That's a really good... I like that addition. It lets you double jump, which is pretty neat and useful in the speedrun in several spots. There's the Drill Bonk, which is new, which is pretty cool too. It lets you dig... There's only used in like 1 or 2 levels, but lets you drill through blocks, and so they can make these big block mazes where you have to dig through them. It's kind of cool. The like the Smiley Thief Bonk is interesting in concept, but in practical use is pretty useless. You can like throw smileys out of your bag or whatever, but it doesn't do extra damage or anything all that useful. So and it's not like Bonk's Revenge on the Game Boy, where if you're in the like Smiley Thief form or the similar form, it lets you open like special doors that none of the other forms can access. It's almost strictly a downgrade, so it's not that useful. And then there's the Chicken Bonk, which is really, really good because you can fly indefinitely as Chicken Bonk, so you can fly over a couple of the levels in addition to doing bonus damage. So the power-ups are kind of interesting just because there's so many of them that you can get, but only certain ones are available in certain levels. It's not like you can get any power-up in any level, so you're a little bit restricted in that regard, but it's still a good game. It's just not... I don't think it's nearly as good as this one. The speed run is very different because of the running mechanic in particular, but the boss fights are not nearly as fun or creative, in my opinion. And the drool fight is one of the worst... It is the worst drool fight in the entire series. I think I can very safely say that. It is not fun at all. Casually or speedrun, it's just not a fun fight. Like the hitbox is goofy when his head's rolling around, and it just doesn't... It's not that satisfying either. It's like... At one point in the game, they give Bonk a potion, and he turns into like a mini drool form that can like breathe fire. It's like, it would have been cool to fight Drool in like a Drool form, or I don't know, or Drool drinks a potion and it just makes his like head pop off, or he gets big and his head pops off, and they could have done so many more creative things for that boss fight instead of what they did. After you beat him and you have to like squash his car, that part's kind of cool. I like, that's a really good like fitting end, similar to this game where you get to crush him when you're big. I like that part of it, where you have to get three hits on him to squash him at the very end, or his like little fortress or whatever. But the actual fight where his head's rolling around is just, it's just not fun at all, and it's my least favorite part of that whole run. Even though there's also two bosses that have really heavy RNG. There's the train boss, where these things pop up, and you need a certain thing to pop up to hit them. And there's also the dragon fight, the three different bonk heads that come out of the like dragon egg thing. That has some pretty heavy RNG as far as which head pops out in which order, or whether it's whether the head attacks or it lets you attack it first, is basically, like, it's just a big series of coin flips, which I don't really mind that much from a casual perspective. From a speedrun perspective, though, you can easily lose over a minute just from getting bad RNG there, which I did in my PB. I lost like over a minute on that fight, but otherwise there's some fun levels in it. Yeah, this is all for... Oh, are there any hacks for Super Bonk? I have not seen any. If there are, I would be interested. It'd be cool to know. There's not even a task for this game, though. I don't think this game doesn't get much attention. So I'd be very surprised to find out that there are any ROM hacks for this game, but who knows? There could be someone out there that has made something. I just am not aware of it. Since there's not a very large speedrun community around this game, there's not a lot of... there's not a great place for people to congregate and share info about this game. So there could be people out there that have nothing to do with speedrunning this game, but still do other stuff with it. But I haven't seen anything myself. It'd be cool to see someday. But I think I'm gonna call it there. I think I got all the footage I planned on getting. Hopefully there's some good material in there to make some shorts out of. I'll probably just send you the whole file, super duper, and you can go through it and see what's usable. And if you have any requests for anything additional that you want me to do, maybe I can fit it into, like, at the end of one of my other streams or something. Maybe I could fire this up and get you some footage of anything specific. But yeah, I'll send it over to you, and hopefully this helps. I'm happy to help with the Super Bonk awareness campaign that's going on, and I might be back tomorrow evening to do some more Link's Awakening learning, but I wanted to try and get this done for Super Duper sooner rather than later. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a stream here, but I might be back tonight or tomorrow night to do some Link's Awakening, since I am gonna miss Monday. So, with that, yeah, super duper. I started with the Japanese version, so I did all the Japanese version stuff at the beginning. So I'll send it to you, and you can go through it. And yeah, there were a couple more things about the Japanese version than I remembered. So I'm like, I remembered as I was playing through it, like, oh yeah, I should show this, but I think I got most of it. So I'm gonna find a raid target, and we'll get out of here. Well, let's raid Brood. When else am I ever gonna get to raid Brood? Alright, let's do it. It's only 20 minutes in, too. Alrighty, I will catch y'all later. I know, the music, that's the other thing. The music in this game is far superior to Super Bonk 2. It's really sad that the composer that did the music for this game hardly did any other games, because I would have loved to see what else they come up with. I love almost every track in this whole soundtrack. It's so great. So one of the best Super Nintendo soundtracks out there, honestly. All right, I'm heading out for real. See y'all.